Wow. I am speechless. That had to have been one of the best episodes of Walking Dead that has ever aired. What a suspenseful episode. Very good character interaction and just a shocking ending. One of the most shocking that has ever been featured on the show. I don't know where to start, but I'm going to do this review and we'll see what happens and we will see, what might happen for next week. Hey everybody, Derek here. I'm here to bring you this review for the 15th episode of Walking Dead Season 6, which is East. I'm going to get right into it because there's a lot to talk about. If you have not seen this episode and you do not want to be spoiled, exit now or you will be spoiled. Okay. Well, first thing I'm going to do is address the shocking ending, and that is that Daryl has been shot. Our fan favorite, our amazing hero, Daryl Dixon, has been shot. And we don't know what happened. The ending is just, him getting shot, and we see a blood spatter across the camera, and we have no idea where he was hit or what was going on. So we're left to wonder what is going to happen to Daryl. And, a lot of things led up to what happened in this episode. And we had three big storylines that were going on. One was with Carol, and then Rick and Morgan were kind of involved with that story. And then we had Daryl, Rosita, Glenn, and Michonne involved in a story. And Maggie had a relatively big part as well, more shocking than anything else, which I'll get to in a moment. What we saw is the result of Carol leaving Alexandria. We did see that she, does take the vehicle and leaves. And, of course, unfortunately, when she leaves, she ends up running into some saviors on the road. And, she engages them in a dialogue, a conversation, and, wants to, see if she can just keep on going. She doesn't want any trouble. We've seen that she doesn't want to be involved with hurting people or killing people anymore, so she just wants to leave. But the saviors don't let her go. She tries to, lie about who she is. She tries to be very vague. She tries to, keep herself relatively quiet about the truth of who she is. And the whole time she's holding her rosary and her hand is inside of her jacket. And it turns out, though, that the saviors actually do know about Alexandria. They do reveal they know about the community. They know that Carol is from there because the vehicle that she took, they saw it. It has spikes out of it. Like, she took the SUV, and it had spikes in it already. Like, they had already set it up to be a protecting barrier for Alexandria, but Carol took it. And Carol tries to reason with them. She says, look, it doesn't have to go down this way. I don't want to hurt you, but, just drive away. This doesn't have to happen. But it's very clear these guys cannot be reasoned with. There's nothing that they can do. And Carol is unfortunately forced to kill them. And it turns out that she has a hidden gun inside of her jacket, and she ends up shooting them. She kills 3 of them right away. And then, no, actually it was 2 of them, I think. A third one she impales with one of the sticks that was hanging out of the vehicle. So that's where the blood on the ground in that sneak peek was coming from. And then it turns out that, there's 2 left. One of them, we don't know where he went, but we find out later. And then the other one is hiding behind a vehicle. And this was the one that Carol was really talking with. And she tries to, see if he'll come out, but, he won't. And she ends up running around the vehicle. And the scream that we heard in the sneak peek was actually not Daryl, like I thought. I was wrong about that. It was actually this savior who screamed when Carol, came around to attack. And, we hear a gunshot, and that's that. And, throughout this whole entire ordeal, Carol is once again seen reacting the same way that she did when she was at the Savior's compound, very shaky, very nervous, crying, and just in disbelief that she had to kill again. And, we end up finding out that she did wound this guy. Rick and Morgan end up coming upon the scene because they end up actually going after Carol. Rick and Morgan do. And they come across the wreck, and they end up finding that this guy's severely wounded. Rick finishes him off, and, they continue to travel and try to find Carol, and it's pretty likely that Carol has been wounded. The guy was holding a knife, and we don't get to see exactly what happens, but my assumption, because of the fact that there's blood, like they basically are following a blood trail to try to find Carol, I'm assuming that this guy did stab her. But what extent, we don't know. This could be, maybe not necessarily a serious life-threatening wound, but one that keeps bleeding, or it may actually be because it seems like Carol is losing a lot of blood. So we don't exactly know what's going on with her. Hopefully we'll find out in the season finale, and I'm sure that we will. And Rick and Morgan, again, they actually are the ones that go after Carol. And that was a very wonderful, arrangement that the writers made for those two, because we've been wanting to see more interaction from these two ever since the season started. And we really didn't see that. We saw that Morgan was really focusing more on Carol than he was with Rick. So it was really nice to see those two actually interacting with each other. And we see them challenging each other and their, outlooks and their opinions. When they come upon the wreck, Rick is like, wow, look at Carol. She killed 4 of them. She is a force of nature. That woman is amazing, really giving her a lot of credit. And Morgan's like, Rick, don't you understand why she left? She left because she couldn't kill anymore. And, Morgan knows Carol on that level. And, you see this kind of, conflict between the two of them about, who really knows Carol best and what she wants. You see a fight between the two about how they feel about Carol and what Carol exactly wants. And, throughout the episode, you see both Rick and Morgan, kind of really defending their positions. Rick is saying, hey, listen, Morgan, sometimes you do have to kill people. It's just not a choice, sometimes you do. And Morgan kind of, bringing back this all life is precious and really digging into that, philosophy quite a bit. He notes at the beginning when they start to drive, Morgan says, there is no right, there's just wrong, and it'll pull you down. And I think that's a wonderful quote, because really the concept of right, doing the right thing is a very hard thing to figure out. But I think that people can actually define more of what wrong is than what right is. Wrong is cannibalizing people. Wrong is, hurting people for your own sadistic personal opinions and beliefs and, what you want to do. But defining what is right is a hard thing to do, so you just have to do the best that you can. And, with Morgan, he has decided not to kill. And I think that was where he was able to find right. And as the two continue, Morgan brings up the fact that Rick did not kill Carol back at the prison. He brings up, I heard about what happened at the prison and that Carol killed Karen and David. And it's amazing because Rick actually says, if she did it today, I would have thanked her. And it's amazing just how much progress, well, or maybe not so much progress, but just the difference in opinion. Because when it happened at the prison, Rick was just in shock and awe. He's like, I can't have you around here, you deciding that you're going to kill people, without much of a second thought. But we've seen that Rick has really, seen that taking chances is a very difficult path to follow and does have consequences. And I think that that's really where he is led up to, this fact of, once the governor came and took down the prison, once they let the cannibals go, once they let the Grady Memorial people do the hostage exchange, every single time they took a chance, someone in their group died, and Rick was just done. And I think that he was able to relate back and understand, why Carol did what she did. It was hey, look, if we let these people live, then they're going to infect other people. And Rick, doesn't want to really take chances anymore. But it's kind of amazing how, he'll take a chance on, someone like Jesus, but, other situations he won't. It's definitely very hot and cold for Rick. He's really one or the other. And I think it depends on if he's threatened and, what else is going on with the group. So it was interesting to see what happened. And they end up coming to a barn where there's this guy who's looking for his horse. We don't know who this guy is. We don't get a look at his face. He might have been a savior. He might have been a member, of the Hilltop. They don't know. And Rick, he tries to say, look, you come out and we're going to talk. And the guy refuses. And Rick tries to kill him. And Morgan actually ends up slapping the gun away from Rick. And, he says, look, life is a circle, and everything gets a return. And, I think that with Morgan, you see more of that philosophy, with all life being precious, you don't know how it's going to affect you later on down the road. And Morgan ends up revealing to Rick that he kept the wolf. He tells Rick all about, what happened, and notes how because of the fact that he kept the wolf and the wolf got loose, took Denise hostage, Denise ended up, getting in trouble. The wolf saved her. And as a result, Denise was able to get back to the infirmary and saved Carl's life. And that really, it seemed to strike a chord with Rick. That when Morgan revealed this, rather than Rick getting totally upset and turned off by the idea, he actually, listens, and he goes, I think he took it in and was like, wow, I didn't know that. And I can't believe that that's actually what happened. The fact that, everything did work out. So it makes you wonder how those words are going to affect Rick as time goes on. It may not mean anything in the, the present, because I think they do have a lot of things that they need to deal with. But I think that those words definitely will strike with Rick. And Morgan ends up telling Rick to go back to Alexandria. He's going to continue to find Carol on his own. And he says that he's going to try to bring her back, but if that they don't come back, that he's not to come out looking for them. And the two part ways, with Rick saying, the little joke about the protein bar, that Michonne was actually the one that took it. And, one of the things that is going on, though, that may end up following into the next episode is that there is a savior that did survive Carol's shooting and followed them into the field. Now, he might be far behind because he was wounded, like he was shot in the shoulder, but he may end up catching up with Morgan and Carol in the next episode, and that may lead to some trouble, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. Now, Daryl is involved in this episode because he's going after Dwight. You see in the episode that he actually ends up getting on his motorcycle and riding out of the community. He has Denise's keychain for Dennis, her brother, in his hand. And he really just wants revenge, because of Dwight killing Denise in the last episode, especially with Daryl's crossbow. Daryl feels responsible for this. Daryl feels extreme guilt over what happened. And he's really just set on revenge at this point. And he ends up going out. And we have Glenn and Michonne and Rosita who give chase. They go after Daryl to try to bring him back. Because, they don't want him running out into something that he doesn't know, that he's running into. I think that that's always been, the problem. And especially with this episode, the most shocking thing is that, the group knows that there is danger out there, yet they go out. And I don't blame them. I mean, these people are their family. Carol and Daryl have been with the group ever since the beginning. These people are like family, and I don't blame them for doing that. But, it does have consequences in the episode. They are eventually able to catch up with Daryl, and they try to reason with him to come back, but Daryl won't. Daryl says, I can't let it go. I need to take care of Dwight because I didn't, and he killed Denise. If I let him go again, he might kill someone else. Rosita ends up going with Daryl. She agrees with him that, she can't let it go either. She was there when it happened. And Glenn and Michonne start to, go back towards maybe their vehicle or maybe start to head back towards Alexandria. And the two of them start talking. And we see Glenn really being sensible in this episode, saying, boy, we really made some mistakes. We should have, learned about these people. We should have captured one of them. We should have interrogated them. We should have learned more about the Saviors. But instead, we just killed them all thinking that, this was it, that this was their small group, that we thought we knew everything. Boy, were we stumped. And he says, we all got together by chance and we survived with each other. We were going to figure this world out. And we thought we did figure this world out, but we really didn't. The hilltop, the Saviors, it's a lot bigger than what we thought. And they realized the mistakes that they made. Well, Glenn and Michonne end up getting captured by Dwight and the Saviors. They get surrounded. As Glenn and Michonne are sitting, tied up, Daryl and Rosita attempt a rescue. They're hidden and they're getting ready to, enact some kind of plan. But the Saviors are able to outsmart them. Dwight ends up behind Daryl and, says, hey, and ends up shooting Daryl in the, what we can presume to be hopefully, the shoulder or something. But we know that Dwight did shoot Daryl. And the question is, where did he shoot him? How serious is the bullet? And what's going to happen as a result? Because, at this point, it's up in the air. I'm really hoping for Daryl. I really am praying that, he makes it through. And my instinct is that he will, but we'll just have to wait and see, how serious is the bullet wound? Will it carry on into the next episode? Is it, is he bleeding out really badly? I mean, Dwight said, oh, he'll be fine. But, how much can we really trust Dwight? He's not really, the most dependable person. So it's hard to say. But it was absolutely a phenomenal episode. I really think they did a great job on it. And I can only imagine what the season finale has to offer us. So many shocking things, so many great things to discuss, and I have several videos that I hope to make this week to count down towards the season finale. I can't believe it, folks. It was a quick season, really flew, and it's been amazing. So with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close. I want to thank all of you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, don't be afraid to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming. And if you have any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, don't be afraid to suggest them. Have a very wonderful evening, and thank you very much for watching.